Hello everyone, good morning. Welcome back to Reading with Raptors on, for most of us here in North America, a very, very chilly week for this. So today we are going to be reading with this American kestrel. Like a lot of our birds, she's been spending quite a bit of time inside. I think the high today is, we're maybe getting up to about 8 or 9 degrees, but it has been very, very chilly at night. And normally American kestrels are migratory. So up here in Minnesota, at least in the kind of upper Midwest of North America, a little bit too cold here for most of the winter. So they are usually down in the southern US and Central America where it is much warmer. So on these especially cold snaps, we're spending quite a bit of time indoors. So we've been enjoying seeing them doing a lot of bathing and doing lots of other enrichment activities to keep the indoors kind of exciting and interesting, even though there's not quite as much going on as there is outside. A reminder for everyone, actually before we start reading and getting into our book for today, being in this kind of nice early to mid-February cold snap, we are also coming up on Valentine's Day, which for the kind of first year, we're very excited. We are doing an online program on Friday, February 12th, so a few days early. We are doing that online program, Love is for the Birds. We're gonna be talking about how raptors, the whole kind of nesting, mating, chick rearing process, as we're getting into the very start of nesting season. There's actually in the kind of cubby area where we have birds for programs and things, we have a great horned owl who is, you might be able to hear in the background, doing some demonstrations of some of the various noises that we're hearing a lot of from a lot of our birds as we're getting into that nesting season. So just in time for the very start of our raptor nesting season, we are having that Valentine's Day educational program. So check out both the raptorcenter.org or I know here on Facebook we have an event and a couple of posts about it if you're interested. So definitely check that out because that is this Friday. Very excited. With that being said, we're gonna get started with our book for today, which I figure with this pretty nice intense cold snap of that Arctic air, I figured it would be yet another great week to read about winter time and all the other kind of various animals, and this book actually has a plant or two in it. So this is called Winter Bees and Other Poems of the Cold. It's by Joyce Sidman and Rick Allen. And you can see it has these really amazing illustrations. I love this style. It's so beautiful. So I'm really excited to show you these. It's gonna have some poems for each page as well as some great kind of information about the plants and animals and other organisms that are gonna be in this. So I am very excited. So in the meantime, I have a couple of pieces of food kind of scattered around here for our American kestrel. I don't actually think this particular American kestrel has joined us for Reading with Raptors in the almost year that we've been doing it now. So this particular American kestrel is a little bit newer to the book camera process going on. So she's got some little tidbits of mouse that you'll hopefully be interested in eating as we move along. So with that, we're gonna get started with Winter Bees and Other Poems of the Cold. This is actually brought in by one of our amazing volunteers who had this in her personal collection. So I was really excited. Here's the first page with this big moose on it. This is Joyce Sidman and Rick Allen. Here's the also kind of first title page. I'll cover her up for a second, but you can see these beautiful autumn leaves kind of giving way to the snow of winter, which I'm sure most of us are getting pretty familiar with now at this point. Even the table of contents page is beautiful. I love the different colors for the typeface. All right, getting into it here. So the first page is called, I'll show you the whole page kind of first, and I'll kind of read it over to the side so you can still keep on looking at our American kestrel here, but you can see most of these. It's called Dream of the Tundra Swan. Dusk fell and the cold came creeping, came prickling into our hearts. As we tucked beaks into feathers and settled for sleep, our wings knew. That night, we dreamed the journey, ice blue sky and the yodel of flight, the sun's pale wafer, the crisp drink of clouds. We dreamed ourselves so far aloft that the earth curved beneath us and nothing sang but a whistling V of light. When we woke, we were covered in snow. We rose in a billow of white. Here's what it says about tundra swans. Why do some birds migrate as winter approaches? Because the best spots for raising chicks are not always the best places to spend winter. True to their name, tundra swans breed in the treeless tundra of far northern Canada and Alaska. Summer in these Arctic regions, bathed in almost 24-hour sunlight, is bountiful and lush. Swans feed and raise young on new shoots and aquatic plants. But when the weather turns cold, they move in huge flocks to staging areas along river deltas or marshes where the water is still free of ice. Here they rest and eat until the time is right for the 2,000-mile journey to warmer coastal areas such as New Jersey or California. During migration, tundra swans fly in V formations at up to 5,000 feet up in the air and keep track of one another with a high, warbling call. I loved in the poem, it called it a yodel, which I think is a pretty good description if you've ever heard those swans making that loud kind of honking noise. These beautiful tundra swans. I just love the artwork in this book. I'm so delighted to see it. I'll show you the whole page here again. Here we have kind of the autumn leaves. There's a fox in the background, and then this huge tangle of snakes. They're tiny black snakes with yellow stripes curled up all together in a big ball underneath the snow. Let's read about them. This one's called Snake's Lullaby. Brother, sister, flick your tongue and taste the flakes of autumn sun. Use these last few hours of gold to travel toward the cold. Before your coil goes stiff and dull, your heartbeat slows to winter's lull. Seek the sink of sheltered stones that safely cradle sleeping bones. Brother, sister, find the ways back to the deep and tranquil bays, and round each other twist and fold to weave a heavy cloak of cold. We're describing these snakes out in the fall, kind of all finding their way to this nice, big, warm ball. Let's see what it says here. Snakes, like other reptiles, are ectothermic, which is a word that kind of literally translates to outwardly heated, with no constant inner temperature. They bask in the sun to warm themselves, and in cold weather they become sluggish. Before autumn's warmth turns to winter, they must find a protected place to hibernate or they will freeze to death. Garter snakes often hibernate, or brumate as it's called in reptiles, in large groups, choosing underground tunnels, rocks, or caves below the frost line where the temperature is cool but not freezing. Most return to the same hibernaculum year after year, using their tongues to smell their way along age-old paths. In Manitoba, Canada, scientists have discovered hibernaculums that host up to 20,000 garter snakes. While brumating, snakes neither eat nor drink. Their breathing and heart rate slow down, and their blood thickens. They spend the winter in a communal mass of motionless bodies waiting for warmth. So this is one of these garter snake hibernaculums. One of my, not gonna lie, it's one of my favorite kind of vocab words for things that animals do over the winter. Hibernaculum, such a good word. It's basically a giant ball of snakes that are all brumating together. Here's this, another just beautiful image. I love the colors. So here's this page, off to the side here. This one says, Snowflake wakes. Snowflake wakes, whirling, arms outstretched, lace sprouting from fingertips. Leaps, laughing in a dizzy cloud, a pinwheel gathering glitter. Drops into air, suddenly soft and full, a lattice of stars spinning silently. Drifts down, touching and tickling, clinging and clumping. Hugs earth, sighs and settles, sleeps, tucked into its own blanket. See the snow falling here, our fox friend down here. Let's see what it says about snowflakes. Snowflakes begin in clouds where tiny water droplets freeze into ice. If the air is cold enough and there is plenty of moisture, bits of crystal form, which are six-sided because of the shape of the molecules that make up water itself. As these crystals swirl in the cloud, more and more water vapor freezes onto their surface, and they begin to grow, gathering ice on each of their 6 points. Each snow crystal is slightly different because each follows a random path through the air as it grows. When the crystals are heavy enough, they drop from the cloud and fall, colliding and clinging to other crystals to form the snowflakes we see. Once snowflakes touch the ground, their delicate lace begins to break down and form a more solid layer of snow. I'm sure if any of you live in areas where you get lots of different kinds of snow, I always really enjoy seeing the different kind of types of snow that we get, seeing the individual snowflakes with their differences, the way that they all kind of clump together and move around. I think it's always so pretty and always so different. Here's the whole page here. It's a beautiful kind of winter sunset scene. These moose. Let's read about these moose. This one says, big brown moose. I'm a big brown moose. I'm a rascally moose. I'm a moose with a tough, shaggy hide, and I kick and I prance in a long-legged dance, with my moose mama close by my side. I shrug off the cold, and I sneeze at the wind, and I swivel my ears in the snow, and I tramp and I tromp over forest and swamp, 'cause there's nowhere a moose cannot go. I'm a big brown moose. I'm a ravenous moose, as I hunt for the willow and yew. With a snort and a crunch, I rip off each bunch, and I chew and I chew and I chew. When together we slump in a comfortable clump, my mountainous mama and I give her a nuzzle of velvety muzzle. Our frosty breath drifts to the sky. I'm a big brown moose. I'm a slumberous moose. I'm a moose with a warm, snuggly hide, and I bask in the moon as the coyotes croon, with my moose mama close by my side. So here we have that baby moose eating these nice clumps of nice kind of tender tree shoots. And here they are sleeping in the snow. You can see the snow kind of gathering on their nice warm coats. Let's see what it says about moose. Moose are built for cold. As the largest members of the deer family, they have huge bodies that trap heat well, and their fur is dense and warm. Their stilt-like legs wade through deep snowdrifts and snow-covered brush with ease, and broad, cloven hooves steady them in icy terrain. Winter's main challenge for moose is to find enough plant material to power their enormous bulk. They are constantly on the lookout for food. Moose cows give birth in spring to a single calf, or occasionally twins, and the calf's survival depends fully on the mother's ability to teach it the ways of the woods. Moose cow and calf are rarely apart. They shelter together, evade wolves, and use their large, sensitive noses to seek out stands of nutritious willow and poplar twigs. They remain inseparable until the following spring, when the yearling calf must leave to make way for another newborn. So here they are, for now during the winter, snuggling up and keeping warm in the snow. If you've never had a chance to see a moose in person, they are absolutely enormous. Definitely one to look up. There's some amazing videos online that I've seen of moose running through the snow. Absolutely gigantic. Here is, I love the colors. This one's gonna be about winter bees. You can see our fox friend hiding over here. And in the middle of this beautiful kind of warm golden orange glow of this beehive here in this tree. So let's read about these winter bees. We are an ancient tribe, a hardy scrum. Born with eyelash legs and tinsel wings, we are nothing on our own. Together, we are one. We scaled 1,000,000 blooms to reap the summer's glow. Now, in the merciless cold, we share each morsel of heat, each honeyed crumb. We cram to a sizzling ball to warm our queen, our heart, our home. Alone, we would falter and drop, a dot on the canvas of snow. Together, we boil, we teem, we hum. Deep in the winter hive, we burn like a golden sun. You can see that. It looks so toasty. I'm sure it's not actually glowing, but you can tell that it would probably be really nice and warm for those bees staying kind of nice and cozied up all winter long. So let's read about them. Honeybees hang together at all times, but especially in winter. They are one of the few insects in the northern hemisphere that remain active in freezing weather, and they do it in typical bee fashion by gathering, sharing, and communicating. All summer, they collect nectar, which they transform into honey in wax-covered cells. As the air turns colder, bees begin to cluster around their queen, who represents the future of their hive. The colder it gets, the tighter they huddle, shrinking to a football-sized mass that slowly eats its way through the carefully stored honey. Hungry hive mates farther from the honeycomb will beg for food, which is then passed from bee to bee. When hive temperatures drop to dangerous levels, the outer rim bees sound the alarm and the cluster begins to shiver or flex their flight muscles to generate heat. While worker bees cycle in and out of the cluster's warm center, the queen remains at its heart, ready to resume her egg laying at the first sign of spring. Looks like we have some eating going on behind us with our American kestrel, moving around to find those little tidbits of food I left. But here are those honeybees staying nice and toasty warm. I know we read a book last week that talked a little bit about other kind of bees. So some honeybees will stay warm like this all winter, but some of the more solitary bees will hibernate for the winter in nice kind of piles of dead leaves and things like that. Gotta clean off our feet, gotta clean off our beak after eating. What she's doing right now is called feeking. It's a great vocab word, feeking. And that is cleaning off her beak by kind of rubbing it on her perch. So here we have a nice full big page of some beavers kind of under the water and up into their den. So let's read about these guys. Under ice. In the fat white wigwam made of ripped chips and thrashing twigs is a heart of fur, curled and cozy, far beneath the winter sunshine. Made of ripped chips and thrashing twigs, it gathers silence now, beneath the winter sunshine, under ice, under snow. It gathers silence now, but in the dim oval room under ice, under snow, strong brown bullets dive. In the dim oval room, they groom, snack, kiss. Strong brown bullets that dive in the under ice world. They groom, snack, kiss. A heart of fur, curled and cozy in the under ice world of the fat white wigwam. So here is a beaver kind of den. Let's see what it says about that. From the time their pond freezes over in autumn until it thaws in spring, beavers in northern climates do not once poke their heads out to see the sky. They remain active, diving in and out of the water, foraging for food and grooming, but amazingly, they do it all under the ice. In late summer, beavers build a huge lodge made of made of mud and sticks that has snug rooms inside above the waterline. The lodge's entrances are all underwater, but beavers are superb swimmers with dense fur that keeps their skin dry and warm. In fall, they stockpile a collection of juicy twigs in the water near the lodge. After the pond freezes, they can dive beneath the ice, swim to their stockpile, grab a branch, and haul it back inside the lodge to munch. There is not much light or room inside the lodge for a family of up to 6 beavers, but they live quietly and harmoniously until spring's thaw. So here you have these beavers that are constructing these giant buildings for themselves, able to basically use the pond or the river that they're in kind of like a refrigerator, keeping these nice sticks and branches that they've gathered nice and cool and fresh, and then bringing them back up into that den to eat them. Pretty ingenious, I would think. Reminds me of here up north, at least a lot of us use our garages or porches as our refrigerators, oftentimes during the winter as well. So this one, I really enjoy this artwork as well. Some ravens, nice pack of wolves doing some eating here in the background. Let's read about them. Brother Raven, Sister Wolf. You are Squawker, croaker, alarm on the wind. And you are slinker, shadow, nose to the ground. Fearful and flighty, you peck and then flee. Bound to the earth, you leap, snap, and tumble. Silver-winged thief, yellow-eyed snarler, stop following me. But don't stray too far, keep watching our woods. Don't slack off your work, keep tracking our dinner. Eyes of the forest, heart of a hunter, raven, my brother, my sister, wolf. In northern regions, the lives of wolves and ravens are intertwined. While they do not exactly cooperate, each aids the other in the search for food. Ravens, intelligent, curious, and communicative, patrol from the sky and are quick to announce the presence of potential prey. Wolves, courageous, tireless, and expert trackers, work on the ground, hunting and bringing down deer, moose, elk, and smaller mammals. Wolves are drawn to the excited discovery cries of ravens, and ravens follow wolf packs, hoping for a meal. Once a kill is made, they feed together, though not always in harmony. They squabble, hoard food, even tease each other. Ravens have been observed sneaking up on a sleeping or distracted wolf, pecking its tail, and then dodging away as the wolf snaps in annoyance. Some scientists think ravens might pester resting wolves to keep them moving and hunting. Friend or foe, these two creatures share winter's challenge, finding enough food to survive the cold. So here you can see this is a raven maybe making that cry of, hey, there's food over there. The wolf's kind of following, and then once they're eating, you can see they're sharing, maybe not happily, but they are both eating on that kill that they both kind of helped to get. Pages sticking together. I like this one a lot. Here is this fox that we've been seeing kind of in the background. Bright orange. And then down here we have some voles. Very relevant to a lot of our raptors here. Let's read about these. Ambling through the hoary crystals, thinking of how I love this powdery place between iron-hard ground and snow-crust ceiling, how it bakes in the winter sun like a crumbly white cake studded with delectables, crunchy roots, savory seeds, and tender bark of trees. How it appeared so softly one night, just as the bitter wind had almost sucked the very life from my bones, a blanket made of sky feathers. Thinking of all the long, lovely tunnels that smell of food or sleep or sky, the way they twist and dive in search of their own ends. Thinking of, eek, fox, stop thinking, run. So here we have these voles down here making their way through these tunnels, running away from this hunting fox. Let's read about this. For small mammals like the vole, a thick blanket of snow in winter can mean the difference between life and death. Snow insulates the ground, keeping it much warmer than the air outside, and the snow layer nearest the earth crystallizes and turns sugary and loose, making it easy for tunneling. Voles, shrews, and mice, even red squirrels, all use this space, called the subnivean zone. Within the cozy subnivean, these animals carry on a secret life, creating a network of burrows and food caches. The snow offers some protection from foxes, owls, and coyotes. However, these predators can use their acute hearing to detect hidden movements, then pounce and dig down to capture prey. As snow melts in spring, subnivean creatures leave behind evidence of their winter lives, squiggles of small tunnels and nests in the grass. I just noticed here too in the background, you can see the shadowy outlines of our two moose from earlier, the mama and calf moose. One or two more pages. I have 2 pages I definitely want to get to. One is pretty optimistic here because it's about the snow melting and getting into spring, which I know I like thinking about right now. So I'm gonna make sure we read this page Here we have a chickadee, some melting water, and we're gonna read about what little insect creatures these are over here. The whole world is melting. The whole world is melting. The snow is slumping and dripping and staining the bark black. Roots poke from puddles, and the leaf litter where we live is squishy damp instead of frozen hard, and we have to move. We have to spring. A mob of us, a mass of us, a throng of us, launching ourselves to the top of the slippery snow, swarming its peaks and valleys. And what will we find? New moss, all ripe for slithering, new loam, new love. The whole world is melting, and we are the first to see it, wide awake on this lush winter day as the trees grow wet and dark and the earth warms and softens. We are the first, the first. We spring, spring, spring. Here you can see these tiny little creatures down here all gathering down on the snow. Here are these springtails all up close. So let's read a little bit about them. On warm winter days when the sun is strong, tiny creatures called springtails or snow fleas swarm up through layers of snow to congregate on bare patches of ground or the snow itself. About the size of this S. So this tiny little S on this page, that's about how big they are. These sturdy, wingless creatures are neither true fleas, they don't bite, nor true insects, their bodies have fewer segments. They belong to a class of arthropods called columbola and are very abundant in moist places, up to 6,000 springtails in a square foot of soil, feeding on leaf mold and fungi. There are many types of springtails, but those that emerge in winter have special antifreeze in their bodies that allows them to frolic in the snow, looking for new places to eat and reproduce. Although they cannot fly, they have an explosive way of moving. They fold a tail-like spike, called a furcula, toward their abdomen and lock it with a tiny hook. When they want to move, their abdominal muscles release the hook, which drives the spike downward and flips them up into the air. Unfortunately, they can't control where they land, but a flip or two is usually enough to get them out of danger or into new munching grounds. You can see here, it looks like this is that furcula that they're folding up onto their bellies and then springing forth. So they're flinging around the page here. So the name springtail really has two meanings. They're coming out in the springtime when it's warmer, and they're springing themselves and moving around. I'm not going to lie. This page is the last page of this book, and it was the one I was the most excited for because I have never seen this particular organism in a book before. It's called the skunk cabbage. So this is the skunk cabbage. You can see it's this really interesting, almost like maroon burgundy colored plant that has these big patches that are bare of snow around it. Let's read about the skunk cabbage. Skunk cabbage peeks up through the snow, the first flower in the wood. Wreathed in an eerie purple glow, up through the slick of soggy snow, smelling of rotten buffalo, it rears its speckled hood. Skunk cabbage peeks up through the snow, the first flower in the wood. In late winter, a curiously odd flower appears in wet woodlands. The fist-sized bud of the skunk cabbage burns up through the surrounding snow, using heat from special chemicals within its leaves. The purple hood pops open and lets out a powerful stink, much like rotting meat or skunk scent. This potent smell attracts any flying insects that might be active. They swarm to the fleshy cluster of flowers within, looking for food and warmth, and pollinating it in the process. Thus, the lowly skunk cabbage attracts spring's first pollinators and gets a jump on other sweeter smelling and more beautiful flowers in the race to reproduce. So the skunk cabbage actually creates its own heat, which helps not only kind of finish melting away the snow around it, but also helps to attract those insects that are looking for a dead animal. So things like flies a lot of times are being attracted to this very stinky, warm plant. I just think it's so cool that these plants actually warm their way to the surface. This is the last page on the book. We ended in autumn with the snow. Here's the snow and the first little buds of leaves coming out of this tree branch. I think the last page is the author's page. Oh, there's a nice glossary. I think we talked about all of these terms, so I'll just show them instead of reading through all of them. But some of these are actually poem forms, which is pretty cool. So this was Winter Bees and Other Poems of the Cold by Joyce Sidman and Rick Allen. We missed a few of the poems in here just for time's sake, but definitely a really great book to check out. I love these illustrations. Just this kind of artwork makes me really happy. So hopefully you enjoyed it as well. I was gonna scroll through and see if anyone had any questions about this American kestrel. I know she did some great kind of fluffing and rousing and looked for some food here in the background. Do we want these little pieces? It's kind of a dry piece of mouse, not as exciting. This particular American kestrel is with us. You might have seen that she was kind of moving around, but she's actually with us because of an injury that she had. We're not really sure exactly what happened or why, but whenever she either collided with something or something ran into her, it actually removed the very, very end of one of her wings, kind of equivalent of like a bird finger bones, kind of that equivalent in one of her wings. So she's not actually able to grow in. You can see the long flight feathers that she has on this one side closest to us. She's actually missing those on the other side and is not able to grow them back because she's missing the part of her wing that those grow out of. So that is why she lives with us. She's not able to fly nearly as well as she would need to live on her own out in the wild. Definitely wouldn't be able to hunt or avoid predators, and most importantly for the weather outside right now, really wouldn't be able to migrate south for the winter. So that is why she lives with us. So she is, I was about 6 or 7 years old this year. So she's been living with us here at the Raptor Center since she was a first-year bird, teaching people about American kestrels. So we call this bird Sienna, after the kind of brownish color on her wings. You can see the brown and black stripes and the kind of brown, kind of streaky dots that she has. I know we post a lot of videos, and I know he's been in a couple of Reading with Raptors videos, but we also have a male American kestrel who lives here at the Raptor Center for comparison. The males tend to have the kind of brighter blue wings, and instead of having kind of those dusty brown stripes or that kind of sienna colored stripes, the males tend to have little black polka dots on their bellies instead. So they look a little bit different, a little bit more camouflaged for the females. That'll help them blend in with the big kind of open grasslands areas where they're normally living, and also going in and out of those kind of holes in dead trees and nest boxes where you normally will find them nesting in this coming spring. So we get into usually more closer to April and May is when we normally see that kind of nesting activity happen with American kestrels. So that is this bird here. I was gonna quick scroll back and see if there were any questions while I was reading. Oops. Make sure I didn't miss any. Otherwise, folks, again, a reminder, if you are interested in learning more about, really good stretch. You're interested in learning more about the upcoming nesting season for raptors and other birds, definitely come and join us this Friday for our Valentine's Day program, Love is for the Birds. And we're gonna be talking about that kind of nesting process, territory establishing, finding good nesting sites, attracting a mate, raising chicks. It's a lot of work that those birds need to do, and we're gonna talk about all of it. I'm really, really excited. So hopefully we'll see a lot of you there, but definitely you can check that out here on our Facebook page or at theraptorcenter.org. As always, you can find all the other information we have on our other online programs, as well as all the birds that live here. Lots of great information on that website and on Facebook. We're also on Instagram as well at the Raptor Center. Otherwise, everyone, thanks so much for joining us for Reading with Raptors. If you are in the cold portion of North America here, stay warm for the rest of the week. It's gonna keep on being chilly. I know we've been gathering some pictures to share with everybody of how we have all of the birds housed right now with this really extreme cold. So everyone stay warm and safe out there. Otherwise, we'll see you next week for more Reading with Raptors. Have a great week, everyone.